Hey everyone, Keith from Health Ops. Hopefully you missed me. I was on vacation for a couple weeks. I got to spend some time up in my home state of Michigan with my family and in-laws. So hope you guys had a good intro to August. We'll talk about Health Ops Garage a little bit later this week. But on my trip up, I came across a couple thoughts I want to throw by you guys today to sort of think about. When we look at healthcare and the concept of healthcare and the culture of healthcare in the United States, I want you to think about for a minute, is healthcare in the United States, are you glad you live here? For those of you that live here, do you feel comfortable with the healthcare services that are provided? And then what is really healthcare? What do you think of healthcare is? Is it really healthcare, or is it more or less sick care? Because when we look at the culture of the United States, we can kind of see, even when COVID was here, are we really healthy? Do you go to the doctor for checkups to make sure everything is on track, and you go there with your big stack of all the stuff that you did and all your stuff you prepared for and how you've been eating and exercising and all that stuff, and you hop on the scale all excited, and you want to brag to your provider how much hard work you've been doing and how healthy you are, and that you don't need any shots and you don't need any meds? Is that what you do? Is that what we all do? Or do we work under a model of more or less sick care? Like, I go there reluctant to get on the scale, like, oh gosh, what's my blood pressure? Oh, I was on vacation, I was on a cruise, oh, I know it's going to be bad. And we go there with reluctancy, hoping not to be sick. And we just hope to get that clean bill of health, so the next time we go around, as the years go on, we can avoid the concept, we can avoid that feeling of like, oh gosh, the dreaded phone call or the dreaded test results. So what culture do we really have here? And what culture do you want to belong to? So now we'll take a step into your family. Like, what's the overall feeling of health and, let's say, wellness in your family? Are you a family that's pro health and prevention? That includes activity, mental health, time for space, time for activity, good foods, being proactive? Or do we go about life trying to do the best we can, just hoping not to get sick? Okay, so let's take out like infectious disease, like we all get sick from common colds, things like that, like infections. Great, let's take that out. Let's take out trauma, broken bones, that kind of stuff. Okay, great, we'll take that out. So, but I really want to focus on what you think of. And when you think of like I work in cardiology. Do I work in healthcare or do I work in sick care? What do I really work in? And I really work in sick care. People that are already sick, okay, they already have a condition. We help try and treat and prevent something else down the road. But are we really keeping the people as healthy? And then as a culture, as a society, do we get from our all the way up from schooling, from our government, from just society, do we promote health, or do we promote don't get sick? Or if you get sick, here's what you need to do, or here's what you need to take so you can live longer. Those are all different concepts. Just because you're not sick doesn't mean that you are full of health. So those are the two different things. But I want to basically challenge you as we move through this next month. We're going to kind of dig into these topics, so we just sort of think about, so we don't get frustrated when we learn back to the original video. Then we talk about the game that we're playing. We're actively involved in a game of health, and we have to understand who those key players are. So if the key players that we look at aren't necessarily the things that we think about with day-to-day health, okay? We have to look at basically culture, society, our family, our environment, our foods, our medicines, our advice, our leisure time, our mental space. All those things go into prevention, okay? So we're going to see a lot. This is a little precursor. You're going to see tons of stuff in the next 2 to 5 years about every pill that can make you magically lose weight, okay? and we'll have separate talks about those. And there's pros and cons to all of those concepts. But just the fact that if you think of the concept of someone being thin is healthy, is again, that's grossly off course. Okay, so the absence of like abdominal fat doesn't make you healthy. Understand? There's plenty of people that do plenty of detrimental things to themselves that may be thin. Okay, so first, before we even get into those kind of discussions about, hey, do I go on medications for this or that, or what's my choice of medications, you have to decide what kind of culture you have. Are you in a culture of, I just want to be not sick and I'll let people guide me and take pills and all that stuff, and I want to live as long as I can? That's okay. Okay. Or do you and your kids, do you want to give influence into true health care, how we can prevent chronic illness? Okay, how can we prevent? And that comes down to food choices. It comes down to activity. It comes down to environmental concerns. It comes down to like cleanliness. All kinds of different hygiene things that we can do. And prevention, meaning looking out for things that happen as we naturally age. These are all different concepts. I think first, before we take someone through, whenever we take a client through anything in health ops, we come back to the core of what's your value. What are you looking for? What are you looking for in your health? What are you looking for in your overall goals? So let's just go for a simple hospital. If a hospital is like, if you had to do the pinnacle of healthcare, would be a hospital, correct? So if we really have a healthcare model, I would argue that you would dread going to visit someone at the hospital because all they have there is good food. All they have is hummus and vegetables to eat. Okay, they don't have vending machines. Okay, like their cafeterias are horrible. Or if you're a patient there, all they do is serve me good food, which is all of that is not true. Okay, is it a place where everyone is happy and no one argues and there's no stress and no fighting? That's not true. Is it a place that's clean? Hopefully. So cleanliness is an important thing with infectious disease. We'll give it cleanliness. We'll get points for cleanliness, right? We expect the hospital to be clean. Correct. Okay. There's, we can go to the far extreme of that, but we're not going to get into that. The goal of it, do they give me information at the hospital so I don't ever come back? Do they give me information that I can change my life and move it forward? Do they give me avenues, advice, things like that promote truly a culture of health? And I would argue probably not. Most people would say probably not. And we can get into some factors of that. So that's why I think when you look at other cultures that hate going to the hospital, because they really go to the hospital when it's their last resort. There's certain countries, third world countries for sure. When you go to the hospital, it's your last resort, and you're probably not going to come out. I've seen many hospitals in countries that do that. When you're providing a service, say for like free healthcare, people will stand in line for hours to get treated by you, as opposed to having to go to the hospital in their own country because maybe the skills aren't there, it's not clean, such and such. So, is America a place of healthcare? Is America a place of sick care? Okay. Do you and your family, do you want to basically follow the guidelines of sick care? Give me some pills, make it go away and just kind of keep me alive? Or do you really want to lean to learn how to have a culture in your family of true health? And we'll take you through those steps. You just have to decide. There's no right or wrong to any of that. It's a personal choice. And within those choices, there's plenty of ways that we can help get people the least amount of pain and discomfort during all of those. But that's the first thought. Is America a place of sick care or health care? Do you want your family to be more on the side of prevention with avoiding sick care? Or do you really want to be proactive with health? And then just look around the environment and see if the places that you go to that are quote unquote healthcare places, are they truly delivering health? Or are they delivering a different product that really tells us that responsibility for our health is up to us? and it's up to me, the individual, to make choices. And then with that, I would argue that if that's the case, then I need to learn where to find the right information to apply to my life, and my family's life, so I can then choose the healthiest of choices for me to avoid sick care. Okay? Kind of a philosophical topic for this week. We'll break it down into different components, and it's not bashing any of them, but it's kind of a precursor to what we're going to get into later on about all the dietary trends in pills for weight loss and such, that we'll get into all those different types of what they are and what they do and where they're coming. And there's going to be oodles of choices for all Americans all over the world in the next 5 to 10 years for that. And before we just jump on and take a pill to do something, we want to make sure, is it really fit in the culture of what I want for my health? So that's the lesson for today. So glad to be back. We got a bunch of stuff coming up in the next 6 weeks, so we'll keep in tuned, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night. Yes.